Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. Today on Joe's Gunpla Garage we're going to be taking a look at my Premium Bandai High Grade backlog. This is quite a big backlog, so this is going to be a bit of a lengthy video. There are going to be timestamps in the description below so you can jump around the video if you wanted to. For those of you new to the hobby or people that don't know, a backlog happens when you see a kit out in the wild. Maybe it's for a good price or maybe it's a kit that doesn't get printed super often and you don't want to miss out, so you'll scoop it up and it'll go into storage and wait until your current projects are completed for you to build it. Now the reason why this premium backlog is so big is because these kits are printed very few and far between. Sometimes we won't see a kit for 5+ years before it's reprinted. So if there's a kit that you want and it gets put up on Pbandai, you'll want to pick it up. We're not going to discuss the morality of Pbandai in this video, so just leave that to the curb. I'm not going to go over that with any of these kits listed, so just ignore it and forget about it, and let's just focus on the kit itself and the mobile suit itself. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pick up a kit, I'm going to tell you why I scooped it up, what I think about the design, and then we're going to go on to the next one. I'm going to try to keep it relatively brief because this is going to be a big video. I have these somewhat sorted by era. It gets a little murky here and there, so just bear with me if something seems out of place, but there's so many here, that's bound to happen. I have wasted enough of your time, so let's get right into it, starting with 1 Year War Premium Bandai High Grade kits. Starting off with a recent print, we have Gundam Unit 6, the Mud Rock. This was a very sought after kit during the pandemic. This was going for crazy prices, so I'm happy it was reprinted. I have a set of G rework decals for this guy, so it'll be nice to put this on the shelf and finish the set. I only need Unit 7 now, but that's a retail release, so I'll just wait for a reprint on that one. This is like a cool amalgamation of a Gundam plus a gun cannon, so it has all the armaments you would expect from both configurations. It's from a video game, Mobile Suit Gundam Zeonic Front, which I have, but I've never played, so maybe I need to play it to get a little bit more lore on the Mudrock. Here we have the Toad Strider, which is the final version of the Pale Rider. I think, if I remember correctly, Zeon steals the Pale Rider and outfits it with all these different new type abilities. It's also got the Hades system built into it, so it can go into a sort of berserk mode. It's definitely a very cool looking mobile suit. It's fortunate that it has a lot of stickers on this kit, so this is definitely going to be needing a lot of paint. This is another one from a video game. I think this was a PS3 game, but it's a very cool and very menacing looking design. I really do like the look of the Toad Strider a lot. It looks awesome. So here we have the Pale Rider ground heavy equipment type, which I bought before I knew anything about Missing Link or the Toad Strider or even the Pale Rider. I primarily got it because I was like, wow, this looks like a cool type of gym ground type, but with the cannon with an underslung magazine rather than a top loading magazine. So that's primarily why I bought this, simply just for the gun. But now knowing that it gets built into the Toad Strider, I think it's a lot cooler now. I'll have to see if I can find a way to play Missing Link. I'm very interested to see the full lore of this and experience it for myself rather than reading about it. Here we have a Gelgoog. This is Shin Matsunaga's Gelgoog Jaeger. I really do like the Gelgoog Jaeger quite a lot. I do like the tubes on the cheek over the original Gelgoog, and it's got all these added thrusters to it, which gives it a lot more capability over the original Gelgoog, so I tend to like the Gelgoog Jaeger quite a bit more than the original Gelgoog itself. It's also got this giant beam rifle that's very reminiscent of like an MG42 mixed with an M16, so I think it looks pretty awesome. It's even got that big scope on it. I literally only bought this because it's a white Gelgoog. We don't really see that very frequently. And I have a lot of appreciation behind Ace mobile suits, their specific colors, as well as unique design. Here we have the High Grade Gym Spartan, which looks like the Master Chief, and if the rumors are to be believed, was one of the primary inspirations behind the Master Chief. I don't know how true that old wives' tale is, because this design originally debuted in a Japanese magazine. It was like a cool, like, here's a gym in a jungle type of configuration, and that was kind of it, but it still lived on in legend. And then this rumor grew that the Master Chief came from the Gym Spartan. The Gym Spartan looks awesome. It's got a great name. It just looks like a commando type of gym. this has been bootlegged to all hell, so it is available. If you missed the original Pbandai drop, you'll just have to buy a bootleg. It's got a lot of cool armor, it's got a lot of surface detailing, it's got this cool little Gatling gun. I really like the look of the Jim Spartan. It just looks like an amazing Spec Ops type of machine built for the jungle. While not necessarily 1 Year War, this takes place a little bit after the 1 Year War, but this is the G-Line standard armor, and this is from Battle Record, which is a PS3 game. Never played it. I just saw a cool looking Jim with some armor that you can add onto it. I've heard that this is a really fantastic kit. It's already been bootlegged. I love the design language here of this. It looks like a very robust machine, and I love the look of this rifle here. I think that looks awesome. It's like a FAMAS. It almost looks like the mobile infantry rifle from Starship Troopers. Just a very fun, unique looking Jim. Here we have Johnny Ridden's Gelgoog Vertex, which is a Gelgoog with like re-Gelgoog wing binders on the back, so this should be able to go super fast. It also looks like we have Quest Pariah's beam Gatling gun from the Jagd Doga on it. This has been sitting in my backlog for quite a long time. I originally bought this just to make a re-Gelgoog, and then the re-Gelgoog got printed, so I guess I'll do a straight build of Johnny Ridden's Gelgoog Vertex. It's a pretty cool looking Gelgoog, and it looks like it's going to be a very, very quick machine. Now we're getting into the Origin series, which is still somewhat 1 Year War, but with the Origin design language on it. And here we have the Zaku Desert double antenna type, which the Zaku Solari really reminded me of because it's got those antennas on it. This kit comes with a camo pattern that you can put on the kit itself. Unfortunately, they're Bandai water slides, so they're kind of caca. We do have some squiggle type masking tape that we can purchase to make this look really good. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use those water slides, and I'm going to go for the masking tape and actually do a real camo pattern on this. If you know me, you know I love different types of designations, so a Zaku specifically built for combat in the desert really speaks volumes to me. Just taking a quick look at it, looks like all the joints have a covering on them, which is nice because you would absolutely need that to cover them from the sand. This is a very nice looking Zaku here. From the Mobile Suit Discovery line, we have the Full Armor Gundam, which is like the Origins take of the Mobile Suit Variation, which was an old line of like, hey, this is also some designs we created for Gundam but didn't use them, so here they are in their own like little tiny side stories. So this is the Origins version of it, which means it has the Origins design styling onto the original Full Armor RX-78 Gundam, which they didn't use because the armor made it too slow and too not maneuverable, if I'm remembering the lore correctly. You lore scholars can correct me in the comments below. I'd more than happy to learn more about these kits and these designs. But this is just a heavily armored Gundam in a green color. I think it would be cool to see a sort of what-if scenario for these MSVs actually animated. I hope they would do something like that one of these days. I believe I have some G rework decals for this, and that's definitely going to spruce this kit up. Another Mobile Suit Discovery, we have the Zaku Cannon, which is a Zaku with a cannon. It's got cannons on the side skirts, and it's got a cannon on the shoulder similar to the Predator. And it comes in this nice, very dark green color. Its power cables are also routed differently, which looks unique, and it's got this different type of face sculpt. A very cool and heavily armored Zaku. I really do quite enjoy this Mobile Suit Discovery line that we got from the Origin. The rest of these kits are all from Kukuru's Doan's Island. Here we have Slegger's Gym, so this is his gym with all of his different colors and styling to it. It has decals specifically for Slegger. If I remember correctly, we even got this before the cannon and missile pod type of gym that was a retail release. I believe this came out first. And there's also a Moroccan front version of this. This one also has a type of like bluish hint to it, so I think that looks really nice. Here we have one of the 5-star Zaku Special Forces type. This is the high mobility ground type of Zaku, so it kind of skates around on these thrusters, similar to how a Dom would or Shadow the Hedgehog. This is another kit that comes with its own type of camo type of decals. So really, if you want the best out of any of these 5 kits, you should paint it yourself because Bandai decals, as we all know, are not good and not very easy to deal with at all. But we got the whole squad here, and this is just the first one. Here we have the Surface Hymo Zaku with this big sniper rifle, which looks really good. And again, this has its own set of waterslide decals, which also includes the camo, so just get some different ones and you'll be all set. This is basically the same kit as the last one, it just has the sniper rifle. Here we have another Surface Himo Zaku. This is the Sang-Ho Custom, which I believe this is the guy that prefers to use the melee weapons. It's been a little bit since I've seen that movie, so I don't fully recall. But as you can see here, it's ready to take out this gym on the box. Definitely a nice presentation of the box art here. Here we have another Zaku Surface Himo type. This is the Danan Custom, same thing as the last kits. Finally, we have our last Zaku Surface Himo type. This is the Egba Custom, and he's sort of the commander of the 5 stars, which is the Special Forces group that uses these Zaku Surface Himo types. These all came from Pbandai US, and they're all a little banged up. They did a very poor job packaging these kits when they sent them. Next, we're going to move on to Zeta and Double Zeta, and then a little bit after. So I probably should have showed this in the real grade video, but this is the Surface Flyer and G Defensor. This is primarily marketed to work with your real grade Gundam Mark II, so you need to pick up a couple more Mark IIs to fully utilize this set perfectly. What's different about these from the retail releases is that both of these were available for retail releases. I believe this was High Grade Universal Century 25, the Super Gundam, and then this was just the original AU Gundam Mark II, which I don't remember the number off the top of my head. That's a really old one, and they don't really print it a lot. But what's different about these over those is that these come with the real grade type of stylings to it. So there's not added surface detail to this, you just get these extra decals for use with your real grade. That way it kind of all blends together. It's like an RG/HG collaboration between the two kits. Here we have the high grade Rick Diaz. So what's different about this one from the retail release is that this is technically like a high grade revive. It uses the joints from one of the Build Fighters kits and then just updates it for Quattro Bagina's Rick Diaz. I'm not a super big fan of the Rick Diaz. I think it's extremely ugly. It's a design that really doesn't do anything for me. But I'm still happy to have its revive version, as the old version is very hard to find. And this does the design a lot more justice because it's got better articulation and better details behind it. So I'm happy this exists. I don't think this exists in like the kind of purplish version, but I wish it did, and if it does, then I'll seek it out. From Double Zeta Gundam, we have the Zuzza. I did buy 2 of these in the yellow configuration because I like it much better over the sleeves version. And I do love the different designations, and I love this kind of big barrage attack, like go in there, attack, and get out type of configuration that we have here for the Zuzza. We don't see it a heck of a lot in Double Zeta, but I definitely think it's a fantastic Xeon design. It looks like a natural progression from original Xeon design from 1 Year War. So the Zuzza strikes a big chord for me, so I'm happy that this got reprinted because it was pretty scarce for a while there, and that's why I got 2 of them. Here we have the Zeta Gundam 0088 type, so this is primarily supposed to look as it does in Double Zeta Gundam. The head is a little bit of a different sculpt, and the backpack is different too. I think the coloring is different from this one and the retail Revive version. So this uses the Revive version as a base, but like I said, it changes the head. It also changes the chest a little bit, and it does change the backpack some. I think instead of using red stickers, it uses black stickers, and the pieces are primarily molded in red. Either way, we don't have a fully color accurate high grade Zeta, so I think they missed the mark a little bit there. I think they should have gone ahead and done that, especially with how many people don't like the real grade Zeta. It is a little stickery, but still, it's a Zeta, and the Zeta is a great design. How could I not get it? This is a really, really old set, and this is a twofer. This is the Gaz L and Gaz R. This is primarily based off the Garibaldi Beta Revive version. And as you can see here on the box, there's 2 different ones. So one has a pauldron going to the left, one to the right, and one is red in color, and the other one is blue in color. So these are sort of a royal guard to Shara during the end of Double Zeta, when there's the Xeon Civil War. I believe Shara is piloting the Gamalk at this time, so these are kind of protecting her during the Glummy versus Haman War. This is a fun design with these cool lances, and it's got this kind of regal flavor to it. I really do like the Gaz R&L a lot, and the Garibaldi Beta is a fantastic kit as well. Here we have the Regelgu from Double Zeta, and it's basically just the Gelgoog with these big giant thrusters on it. It may look a little goofy, but I do love the added thrusters here, so it actually has utility behind its goofiness. Usually if there's utility behind the goofiness, I'm all right with it. We also have some different cannons here on the arms, and a much different beam rifle. I love the Gelgoog design, so seeing this come back in Double Zeta was a treat for me. From Double Zeta Gundam, we have Puru's Cubile. Now, I do like the red Cubile better. This is in this type of purpley color. Ignore this hole in the box, I have no idea how that got there. But this uses the Revive Cubile as its base, and then just changes the color. So this is going to have more articulation and more detail over the original release, which we got very early in the high grade line. The Cubile Mark II was high grade number 11, so this is quite a bit updated over that one. There is an option set to display the funnels with this as well, but I didn't spring for that because that takes up a lot of space, and my Double Zeta shelf is going to be quite full with all these bigger, blockier designs. Here we have Puru 2's Cubile. So this is the Cubile that I prefer because it's in this red and yellow color, so it's got a very nice contrast to the colors there. But like the other one, this is just based off the Revive Cubile, which was retail, so this just has improved joints and articulation in detail over the original Cubile, which I don't think we got this one as an original high-grade Universal Century release. I would have to double check, but I'm pretty sure we didn't get Puru 2's Cubile. I at least don't have it in my collection, so it's got to be one of those early high grades that's very hard to find right now, if it does exist. This looks like it's going to be a fun build. I'm definitely more excited about these colors over the previous one, and I'd like to build the original Cubile and then all these Mark IIs and kind of compare and contrast and see what's ultimately different between the two. So from Gundam Sentinel, we have the Zeta Plus C1, which I believe uses the Zeta Plus from Unicorn as the base for this kit. The Zeta Plus is a phenomenal design and a great upgrade for the Zeta. I do like it a lot better in these type of grayscale military colors, and Kotoki's added styling to the Zeta definitely speaks volumes here. You can take one look at it and say, yup, Kotoki has touched this design, and I think it looks great. From Moon Gundam, we have the Vargil. So this basically uses the Moon Gundam as a base and then just changes the funnel rack and the head sculpt. So this is basically the prototype for the Sazabi now, and it's very easy to take one look at the funnel rack and see that. This is just a Xeon version of the Moon Gundam, and it comes in this purple color, which looks pretty nice once it's fully complete. This is a very sought after kit, very popular. A lot of people really like this design, and you can tell just by looking at it, it looks awesome. It looks like a more scaled down Sazabi, and I think they really knocked this design out of the park. It looks great. Now I do have two of these, but I'm only going to show one. This is the Psycho Doga, and this is what is used rather than the Yagged Doga in Char's Counterattack Beltachika's Children. And it's kind of got this like religious vibe to it, and I think a lot of that has to do with its head sculpt because it kind of got this like weird looking Pope hat, which I find charming a little bit. It definitely looks super unique. It's also got these big boosters on the back as well. So this is a very fast and very capable mobile suit, and it's got the funnel racks built into the actual shoulders themselves, which I think is awesome as well. It matches the Nightingale in terms of its design language. It's also got this very German 1940s inspired MP40 looking type of weapon, which I think is a nice little detail, harkening back to those older designs of 40s German stuff that we saw in the original One Year War. I got two of these just because I don't know if they'll be around forever, so one for now and one for a little bit later, so the Nightingale can have its army ready to take on Amuro in the High New Gundam. Here we have the Zaku 2 FZ Type B. This is the Zaku design from 0080 War in the Pocket. Now originally War in the Pocket was supposed to be considered a reimagining of the designs, but then they retconned that and made it so then the FZ was part of the Zeon Evolution project, which means that Zeon deployed a lot of upgraded mobile suits during the very end of the One Year War, but it didn't ultimately matter. I'm not sure what's different between this version and the actual HGUC release, because I think the HGUC release also has a alternate head, but this may be a Unicorn specific alternate head sculpt and some added weapons here. Here we have the Gira Zulu Gilboa Sant use. So this has the guards type heavy cannon as well as a beam magnum, but this is just a regular Girazulu. It's not the guards type, so it doesn't have these spiky pauldrons up here. It's like a weird amalgamation of all the different types of Girazulus that they released. It's definitely a capable looking specialized design with this big heavy cannon. I think it looks pretty cool. Here we have the Regild unicorn type. So this does have some sleeve markings, but only on the forearms itself. There's nothing on the chest. And it comes in this more purple color. This is a super dark purple, or at least it should be according to the anime. And it also has the Gyaradoga rifle here, so a little bit different from the Double Zeta version. Speaking of Gelgoogs, we have the Gelgoog unicorn version, which, like the Regelgoo, has the sleeve markings on the forearms themselves, but it also has this little Xeon icon in the center chest. This is more or less a Gelgoog with the sleeve markings and the Gyaradoga beam rifle. A cool take on a classic design in this more militaristic green color, which we're usually used to seeing like a green chest and then gray bodies. Here we have the Girazulu Kauron use, which is a Girazulu with this type of PSG-1 looking sniper rifle, which looks awesome. We have this big shield, and we have the salvo of Sturmfaust throughout. So this is a very heavily armored, heavily defended sniping type of designated Girazulu. I do like the Girazulu a lot. I like that gas mask look to its face. It's got that very evil look to it. It's a perfect antagonist grunt mobile suit. I can't get enough of these Girazulus, and I think that's pretty obvious in this video. Here we have the Drac unicorn version. So this is a red Drac, which we saw first in 0083 Stardust Memory. And it's got this beam Gatling gun for an entire arm, so that's pretty cool. This is a pretty simple design, and despite its simplicity, they still added a sleeves marking. I do like this box. I like how it uses the original line art itself on the box. I believe this was one of the earlier iterations of Premium Bandai, so I think they were still figuring things out at this time. It's a little ugly, and I think that's what's so charming about the Drac itself. Here we have the Regild Type C, again from the early days of Pbandai, where we can see the line art on here, as well as some screenshots from the actual series itself. But this is a Regild in this type of orangey tan color. I don't think there's anything else different about it. The Regild is a nice design and a good upgrade from the Regizi itself, and it fits right in with the other mobile suits from Gundam Unicorn. Here we have the Dom Tropin Unicorn version, so we don't have any sleeve markings here, but we do have this unique hand sculpt of the grenades because we have that one scene, very iconic, where it throws the grenades in the air and blows up some gyms. It's also got this submachine gun, and it's molded in this type of sand color, so not too far off from the retail Dom Tropin that we already have, but still the Dom Tropin is my favorite iteration of the Dom. I think it's a very menacing and good updated take on the Dom itself. Here we have the Regild Defensor B unit, which I believe there is a retail release of this. It's in those type of tan colors, but this is in the blue and white colors. And that's really all that's different about it. It's just a different colored Regild, which is primarily what Pbandai used to be used for. But this has these two giant beam cannons for the defensing type. And again, we have this nice line art on the box. I do need to build a Regild soon. I love the look of all these different blues with the white. I think it looks fantastic. A pretty somewhat boring release. We have a Psycho Shard, and I have two of them for my two Neo Zeongs, one for the Neo Zeong Red and the Neo Zeong 2. I don't have these built yet because I don't have enough space for them. I kind of need to move my Zeong twins somewhere else because the rings are just not going to fit with the two Zeongs side by side. I may have to canter them so they're kind of kitty cornered in my display area, then maybe I can fit them. But I was really kind of wanting to like maybe put like an LED strip behind here so they actually glowed. I don't know, I have options, and I'm really in no rush to break these boxes open, but they're at least here for when I wanted to use the Psycho Shard on my Neo Zeongs. From Gundam Narrative, we have the Jesta Shazar type B and C. So this has the big mounted beam rifle that we just saw on the Defensor unit from the Regild, as well as a grenade launcher for the Jesta. So this is a more special forces version of the Jesta, which was already a special forces version of like a Jagan, if you will. Now they have these type of night vision goggle type of sensors on the front of them. What that does in lore, I don't know, but it looks awesome. It looks like modern Call of Duty type of stuff, but I do like that little bit of flair added to the Jesta itself. I think it fits in perfectly with the Jesta design. From F91 we have the Jagan A-type, so this all came as a set of 3 Jagans, and I primarily got this just to start army building Jagans for a Char's counterattack type of shelf. This is an F91 type, so it should go on the F91 shelf, but if I'm going to do that, I don't know. It may end up on the Char's counterattack shelf. I know there's slight differences between the two, but it is very slight. I believe this version only comes with this different beam rifle and some different thrusters, and it's not a heck of a lot different. Here we have the Jagan normal type, so this is supposedly a normal Jagan, so we can see those thrusters are different here. The beam rifle is different, a little stubby, ugly looking thing, and we know that the shield is different from Char's counterattack to F91. I really do like the Jagan a lot, and I would really like to army build some Jagans, so can't say no to a Jagan. Here we have the Jagan B-type from F91, so we have some missile pods here on the waist, and the newer beam rifle, and then that's primarily all that's different between this Jagan and the normal Jagan. Just some slightly different capabilities. It does look pretty cool with these extra missile pods on it. Now that about does it for Universal Century kits in my Premium Bandai backlog of high grades. Now we're going to start getting into alternate universes, and we're going to start with the one I have the most kits in, and that would be Gundam Wing. So starting off our After Colony Pbandai kits, we have Gundam Altron, which just came out, and this looks absolutely phenomenal. They nailed this design. Just looking at this box art, this Gundam looks mean, it looks pissed off, and it's ready to do some damage to Treize Khushrenada and all of his silly little Leos. It looks like they did a great job bringing this kit to life, and I can't wait to build it and get it on my shelf. Here we have Gundam Death Scythe Hell. Now we knew this was coming because the Live Lance Heaven Runners were literally labeled Death Scythe Hell on them. So we finally get the Death Scythe in its upgraded form with this type of ribcage look to its chest and the embellishment on the helmet itself, which looks amazing on this kit because it's fully color separated. I'm telling you, if this was a retail kit, that would probably be a sticker. So I'm happy this came out as Pbandai because we got that fully color separated, and you can't beat the look of this kit once it's completed. This is really a nice upgrade to the original Death Scythe, and I think it looks pretty awesome with this double scythe. I'm not sure if this has stickers included in it like the Live Lance Heaven did, but I'm itching to open up basically all these Premium Bandai After Colony kits and get them snapped up because nostalgia is calling my name. Now we don't directly see this in Wing, but this is Gundam LO Booster from G-Unit Side Story for Gundam Wing. It's a side story manga. So basically this is an upgraded version of Geminas 01. It's got this transformation with this extra booster parts put onto it. These Geminas kits are fun to build. They're always fun to snap up, and they go by pretty quickly. There's a ton of great detail built into these kits, and this booster has a lot going on, and I think it looks pretty nice. I think the Geminas is really cool, so this upgraded Geminas with all this extra weaponry looks ferocious. I think this is a phenomenal upgrade to the original Geminas 01. Here we have Gundam Asclepius, which is the middle type of evolution before Burnlapius, so it goes Geminas 02, then Asclepius, and then Burnlapius. This is heavily based off the Zagok from 1 Year War, so it's got this transformation where the cowl comes up and over the Gundam, and the Gundam gets claws instead of all this weaponry here. The transformation is the primary gimmick, so this is a little light on weaponry, but I still think the transformation looks pretty cool. I think this is a unique villainous take of the Geminas design. I'm really hoping Bandai finishes out the G-Unit kits because we really just need the Hydra, the Leo N, and then the Gundam Gripe, and then I think we're pretty much all done with G-Unit kits. I wonder if this one has the same issue that the Burnlapius had, where it's kind of a floppy mess because of how heavy all this extra transformation weaponry is. I'll have to build this soon and find out. So here we have Gundam Heavy Arms Kai, which is just an upgraded version of the Heavy Arms. If I recall correctly, Heavy Arms is the only Gundam that doesn't get blown up in Wing. So really it's a well-deserved upgrade because Trowa did a great job keeping his Gundam intact. And this comes with the dual beam Gatling gun, so rather than just one Gatling gun, it has the two. And it also has some extra thrusters on the skirting as well as the backpack itself. That way it can do better in space combat rather than on the ground, which is what it was originally designed for. A much needed upgrade for the Heavy Arms during the third act of Gundam Wing. Here we have Vayet and Mercurius, which is a type of team designated unit. So the Vayet is designed more for long range combat, and the Mercurius is designed for defensive capabilities. So the Mercurius has these type of beam shield emitters which can detach and protect the Vayet as it's doing its long range volleys, and the Mercurius is red and the Vayet is blue. It's a pretty decently thought out team designated unit, and I think the primary build of this is a lot of high grade Leo. There's also a separate version of these for the G unit squad as well. Here we have Gundam Sandrock Kai, which is an upgraded version of Sandrock itself. Did Sandrock originally have this double V-fin, or am I just blind and misremembering? I don't remember that. But anyways, this is the Sandrock with some added thrusters for space capability because, like the heavy arms, it was heavily designed with ground combat in mind. They also gave it this beam submachine gun, which looks like an Uzi because basically Sandrock has no offensive capabilities from range. So fortunately, we got this version of the Sandrock. Unfortunately, with it being built for space, the Sandrock loses its cross-crusher capabilities, so it can really only use the heat shotels as a singular weapon rather than a combined weapon. Here we have Gundam Geminas Unit 2, which is the same thing as Geminas 1, but it's in this blue coloring, which I like this a little bit better because of the blue coloring. It's a little more unique over the original Geminas, which comes in the tri-color Gundam colors. We've seen these kits a lot lately, so there's not much to say about the Geminas, just that it's a cool secondary unit to the original Geminas. For Geminas Unit 2, we have its own specific ground-heavy equipment type, which gives it all these different armaments that are used for ground. So it's got some leg armor, which I think allows it to sort of skate around like the Haimozakus. It's got this much larger shield here, and it's got these cannons on the side as well as a larger beam cannon. So I'm going to be building the Geminas 02 with this configuration, as this is an option set specifically for Geminas 02, and I think this really looks fantastic. The original Geminas 02 looks a little plain, and I think this really beefs it and spruces it up quite a bit. Jumping into the Regild Century, we have the Gundam G-Self Perfect Pack. This just got delivered to my house yesterday, and this is a Gundam base exclusive to coincide with the release of the G-Reco movies. There's not a ton different between this and the original high grade, but it does have some new runners that give us a color-separated head, where previously we had to use stickers. This looks like it's going to be a very nice build, and a bit of an improvement over the original high grade, just with the removal of those sticker parts for the head. I really hope we get a G Arcane and a G Lucifer reprint sometime soon. That way this has something to hang out with, because this is my first Regild Century kit. It's going to look a little sad sitting by itself. Here we have Gundam Harut Final Battle version. I originally wasn't going to get this when it was reprinted, and then I watched the movie and then said, wow, okay, yeah, I need those. Sometimes when I watch the media, I'm like, yeah, okay, I need the kit of that. So that's what happened with Harut here. So I believe this version of the Harut has different boosters for the feet, so it sits on a stand primarily. It's also got a decent transformation, and it has all these little tiny bits that come with it as well. Now there is a bootleg version of this, Model Star I think it is, and it comes with even more bits. I think that version is a little bit better than this one, surprisingly, believe it or not. But that bootleg is a little hard to find, and plus I'm a stickler for official versions, so the official one is fine enough. From Seed Freedom, we have a sticker hell. This is the Gelgoog Menace. This is the mass production type, and it's got a little less capability than the Luna Maria Hawk version. It also comes in this nicer blue color. I think the Gelgoog Menace looks a lot better in this blue color over the red. I do think the blue color looks better over the red, and that's not just me being biased because I like the color blue. I just think it fits the design a little bit better. This has a different backpack on it. I believe this is the space backpack and not the atmospheric flight backpack. So it's at least a little bit different over the retail Gelgoog Menace. Here we have the Gan Strom Hilda custom. I still don't like the Gian, but the Strom is a bit of an improvement. Again, this one is in a darker blue color scheme over the retail version, and it comes with the atmospheric flight backpack over the space atmosphere backpack that we got with the original Gan Strom Agnes custom. Not a ton different between this and the retail kit, but it's nice to get a different backpack, so there's at least some variation. From Seed Destiny, we have the Wyndham Neo Roanoke custom. Say what you will about Destiny, but at least it gave us some nice mass production mobile suits. I definitely like the Wyndham a lot better over the Dagger. I think it looks better. The only thing that's weird with it is its feet. It's weird, like claw feet, but the atmospheric backpack looks great. The Wyndham itself looks great. I really do like the Wyndham a lot. It's probably one of my favorite mass production type of mobile suits from Seed. And this is an Ace version, so it's in this more type of red burgundy color. Here we have a high-grade Blast Impulse Gundam. Unfortunately, again, the Blast Impulse has been relegated to Premium Bandai. I think Bandai just really hates the blast impulse a lot. I got this originally to kit bash with a real grade Force Impulse Gundam, but now the real grade Force Impulse Gundam actually exists, so I don't have to do that anymore, so this can just get straight built and put on the shelf as type of a comparison piece between this and the real grade version. The last set from Seed is a little boring, and it's just the nuclear launcher pack and the long-range artillery cannon pack for the Wyndham or Dagger. I like the nuke launcher a lot, and it plays a pretty big role towards the end of Seed Destiny, so it's nice that this came out. Just a fun little option set for your grunt suits and your army to build. From After War Gundam X, we have Gundam Airmaster Burst, which is Gundam Airmaster in a blue color. There's not a ton different between the original Airmaster and this one. It's primarily the coloring, but this is sort of the mid-series upgrade for the Airmaster. I believe the Airmaster gets damaged, so they rebuild it and upgrade it at the same time, and voila, we have the Airmaster Burst. I still don't know why the Airmaster has not been reprinted in such a long time. This is actually easier to obtain than the original Airmaster right now, which is absolutely crazy to say. From Gundam Build Fighters, we have the Turn A Gundam Shin. It's just a different iteration of the Turn A Gundam with a better, more Gundam looking head. And that's the only reason why I picked it up, because I do like the head sculpt on this quite a bit more over the original. I know a lot of people love the mustache, but I don't know, something about this looks great, so I scooped it up despite not knowing anything about Build Fighters. From G Gundam, we have the Death Beast, which I think really only exists because it was used for some Build Fighters thing. We see this guy a lot in G Gundam, especially in Shinjuku, when Domon and Master are still on good terms, and there's an absolute army of these guys. So this is just the Dark Army, which is a retail release, but we have this extra quad leg setup here. And that's really all that's different about it. I'm happy this thing exists in high grade, that way we can build a full Dark Army. Now all we really need is a 1/144 scale Dark Gundam. Bandai, if you're listening, I would like a real grade. That's not going to happen, but I'll take a high grade. Another one from G Gundam, we have Gundam Maxter, and I actually have two of these. Why do I have two? Why am I such a glutton for these G Gundam kits? Well, one is to build straight and have it in the actual Maxter colors, and the other one is to build it in hyper mode so I can have a full hyper mode Shuffle Alliance. So now when we get Dragon, I'm going to get two of them. When we get Bolt Gundam, I'm going to get two of them. So I have two of all of these. I guess I need to get another Master Gundam, so I'll have to do that later. But being an American, I can't help but look at Gundam Maxter and just laugh at it. They really just nailed our stereotype a lot in it. I think G Gundam did a lot to kind of blend that country's culture into the design of their mobile suits, and it makes for a really unique and fun watching experience. I mean, his head looks like a football helmet. I mean, what's more American than that? Here we have Gundam Rose, again, another Gundam that I bought two of, one for Hyper, one for regular mode. I love the look of Gundam Rose, despite not being French myself, but taking one look at it, you can definitely tell that this Gundam is based off French designs. You even have the Napoleon hat, you've got this long cape here, and they say that Paris is the city of love, so of course its bits are roses. I mean, Gundam Rose is such an iconic, classic design. You can't hate on Gundam Rose. Now we're all on to Witch from Mercury Premium Bandai's, and here we have the Beger-Bu Torch, which is from the manga. I believe this is just an upgraded version of the Beger-Bu with some different thrusters on the legs and a different head sculpt. I definitely like this version over the original Beger-Bu. I think the Beger-Bu is a little kind of all over the place, kind of its weaponry looks a little tacked on, but I think this looks a little more streamlined and more focused of a design. So the Beger-Bu Torch definitely strikes a better chord with me over the original. Here we have Gundam Lifrith Anavanta, which looks amazing. It's in this darker blue color, and it's got these long swords on it. It also has this type of lightning attack. I haven't read the manga myself, but this design definitely makes me want to. It's a very menacing and villainous looking version of the Lifrith, and I think it looks really, really cool. Here we have the gun node from the last few episodes of Witch from Mercury. I know a lot of people were bummed that this was Premium Bandai. If you wanted to build the whole set of this, you would more than likely go broke because you would need hundreds of them. But this is a drone type of weapon that's remote controlled and has no pilot in it. It's got a cool look behind it, and I love all the permet lights that we see throughout the whole build itself. I think this is a very, very neat design. I like the gun node quite a bit. Here we have the Hindra, which is just a Hindry in a more brownish color. In fact, this is more based off the Hindry Sturm, and I think, if I remember correctly from my unboxing video, everything from the Hindry Sturm is in this set. So really all that's in here is just a Hindry Sturm with different colors and a different shield. It's not much different about this from the original retail release. But we see this in the first episode of Witch from Mercury in the prologue, and I don't think we really see it any other time throughout the series. Here we have the Witch from Mercury Gundam Lifrith pre-production version, which comes in this nice minty blue color and has these big funnel racks on the back with a larger beam rifle over the original Lifrith. This was a fan favorite, and I think Bandai really was sleeping on this design a lot. I think this should have came out as a retail kit because so many 3D printed parts came out for this. I think they really kind of missed the boat with this, releasing it so late. I just don't think they anticipated the popularity of this design, so it was probably still being developed as the show was coming out. You win some and you lose some, but this is a great design, and it's nice to see that this came out through official means. Here we have a Witch from Mercury add-on set, so this comes with new type of shield blades for the Dalbaldi, a rifle set for the Ferract, and the beam lance for the Michaelis. It's nice that this came out, but now I need to buy one of each kit again so I can have it in both its original configuration and then its configuration with these add-on upgrades to it. Not a heck of a lot to say about this, it's just this simple upgrade set for these model kits. Here we have the Demi Garrison, and we see this towards the end of Witch from Mercury, and this is a more militaristic use version of the Demi. It's got these darker tones and darker color scheme to it, and it really reminds me a lot of the Jesta. Pretty stoked that we got this in high grade form, and I know that there's even some updated molding on this kit over the original retail releases. While I didn't think a heck of a lot about the original Demi, I do think pretty highly of the Demi Garrison. My least favorite design from Witch from Mercury, we have Gundam Lifrith Jew, and I really don't like this large gunned arm. I'm not a big fan of like bigger arm type things, so like the gigantic arm unit for the Hazel, not big on. The Boxer for the Huckbean, I don't like it. I don't know why. I just think it looks a little too ridiculous. So this was one I slept on. I originally didn't buy it. I got this from Surugaya. I was going to completely skip it. And then I saw the Anavanta and some of the other manga stuff, and I said, fine. So then I picked this up just to complete the set. I think it would be kind of silly to collect the whole rest of the set, but not just this one. So here it is. Definitely a design I'm more lukewarm on than the others. We are down to our final couple of kits, and these are all the big ones, so that's why these ones are last, and they're not in the order with the rest of the kits. This is Gundam TR6 Heisenthi 2 Ra. I know almost nothing about Advance of Zeta. I did start to read it a little bit since the original high-grade backlog overview, but I didn't get super far in it, so I didn't get to see this. To my knowledge, this is a very, very big kit, so it's going to take up a lot of space. And I bought this just because I thought the design looked cool. So that's it, simple as that. I do have some G rework decals for this, so I think that's going to spruce it up and make it look really good. Just a really big, cool looking type of design. Here we have the Galahorn Arianrod fleet set, which comes with Julietta's Regenlays, a regular Graze, and then 2 Grazes with the Dynslave. And this is the only official means of getting a Dynslave in 1/144 scale. I kind of wish this was Iox Graze. I think that would have made a little bit more sense because this is kind of like a final battle set. And then we have the Tekkadan set, which comes with Barbatos and Gujion Rebake Full City and a couple of roadies. So I think it would have been nice to have 2 kind of final battle sets. So this Graze is a little disappointing, but getting the Dynslaves in 1/144 scale really was the move here. I don't know if there's anything different from this version of Julietta's Regenlays over the official retail release. Pretty cool release. I was super happy to get this reprinted through official Pbandai, and that I didn't have to pay scalper prices for this. From Gundam Wing G-Unit Side Story, we have the Vayet and Mercurius Souvent. So these are upgraded versions of both Vayet and Mercurius, and they come with new capabilities. So the Vayet here has 2 beam cannons, and the Mercurius here has way more shield emitters than before. The shield emitters on this are now in like a X type of configuration. So it's just a nice upgraded set for the G unit Suivants. Here we have the Messer FO2 Commander type. So this is the Messer in a purple color for its Ace Pilot. It also comes with the Commander antenna and a slightly different skirt on the back. It's very similar to the original Messer. And again, like the Vaya and Mercurius, it's funny that the original Messer comes in such a thick box and then this comes in this longer, wider box. Messer really was a great kit, so it's nice that this came out in these separate colors because mixing these types of colors would be a little difficult. And finally, last but not least, we have this sleeve set. So we got the Gyaradoga sleeves version, we got the Gaza C sleeves version, and we got the Iwak sleeves version. So Bandai has been reprinting a lot of the older unicorn sets and these premium versions as well with all the sleeves markings. I think they've almost reprinted most of them. So hopefully we get a little bit more Federation suits because I think we're still waiting on a couple Stark Jeggins, or the Ewak Jeggin at least, to get released so then we can have the complete set. But they're pretty close to having everything for Unicorn reprinted. But what's fun about these is they all come in their different colors. So this is in a gray color. I believe this is in a green color, which we haven't seen a green Gaza C before. And I think the Gyaradoga is still green, but it's a different shade of green over the original Gyaradoga. And of course, they all come with their own sleeve markings on each kit. So that's very, very nice as well. And that's why there's all these new parts involved. So I'm going to have quite a big Unicorn Xeon army when this is all said and done. I'm going to have to go out there and buy some more HGUC Justas. So that about wraps up everything that's Premium Bandai High Grade in my backlog. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a long one, but some people have asked what's in my backlog. I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap about Gundam and model kits for probably an hour or so. I hope to see you return to the channel and maybe even think about subscribing and liking the video. We got a lot of great content coming your way, and I plan on only improving with these Gundam videos as my career continues. I couldn't do these videos without my subscribers. Your likes, your comments, and your subscriptions mean a lot to me, and they keep me motivated and going and creating these videos for you all. I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, have fun, and happy building.